Hey, this is John Carlos, and I am here with a look at the NECA Ultimate action figure of Krampus from the movie Krampus. And this box is huge. For comparison, here's the box next to a standard NECA Ultimate box. And as you can see, it towers over it, not just in height, but also in depth. It's just a lot of box for a lot of figure. Oh, that's interesting. Alright, first things first, I gotta see if this piece of the arm will plug back into the little stump on the inside of the sleeve. It should. It just is like a little L-shaped section that, yep, plugs right in. Now, the hands are interchangeable, but I don't think the entire arm was supposed to be. The figure comes with a lot of little bone pieces and bells that can be hung on the chains of this figure, so it gives you a little instruction sheet of where to place all those little pieces. But before I do that, I just want to take a second to admire and talk about the general design of this figure before I hang all the stuff on it. The presence that this has on the shelf is just outstanding. As a fan of Krampus, the movie, I'm happy with not just the details of this figure, and there are a lot of details, but I love that it just captures the basic silhouette. The shape of the figure is really, really well captured in this. Now, I know that kind of limits the articulation of like a figure in that it's just mostly the body is one solid piece until you get to this little top flap. This little top flap gets added on. You have the headpiece, the articulated arms, and then the body. Underneath the body, we don't have any legs. We do have these hooves, though, and they do swivel, so there is some articulation with the hooves. I'd be shocked if there was full legs sculpted underneath this figure. These little hooves down here are all you need. You don't see his legs in the movie anyway, so that's fine. Now, one thing that I do want to talk about are the arms, because there's a decent amount of articulation on the arms. There's actually a double elbow joint. You have the one joint there, and then the little middle section here between the two. I was surprised there were double elbow joints. Obviously, you have the swiveling wrists. Be careful that your arm doesn't pop out like mine. And then there is the joint at the head on the outer hood, and then the actual head itself also has a bit of articulation. It could swivel and pivot a little bit. And then the arms at the top, the shoulders, actually do not just roll forward and back, but they do, I think there's a ball joint, they can lift up a bit. It's a little stiff on my right one, on my right arm. And then you can swivel the sleeve, so even though you lift the arm up, you can swivel the sleeve a little bit, but not enough. So eventually, the fake gravity of the sleeves will look weird as they're angling out and not draping down. I think the figure looks better with his arms down close to his body anyway. So we got the swiveling feet, the articulated arms, the articulated head, and then the rest is just one big solid hunk of a body. This little top fabric that's draped over the top is kind of a rubbery separate piece, and the rest is just a big old hunk of plastic. And in my opinion, a very well sculpted hunk of plastic. That to me is my favorite element to this whole figure, is the sculpt. I love the way just the fabric wrinkles, especially the way it bunches and lays as you get to the bottom, the way it's draping along the ground, but also like the patchwork to it, the different little darker patched elements look really, really cool. The way that's painted, I'm really digging it. And then the fact that they use real metal chains is cool. And there's all these little tiny locks. The back end of this chain has a little bell on it. So a lot of nice details. The little rubbery shroud that he has some nice wash to it that adds some texture to the stitchwork sculpt. And then also you can kind of appreciate the bent knees. That's, again, what I really like about this figure. I keep talking about the silhouette and the shape, but even though it's a big old hunk of stuff, you get the knees bent, you get the hunch, you get the angle. It looks great. And then the head, which is such a major element to this figure. And in the movie itself, you know, the little face that Krampus is wearing, and I like that you can see his natural eyes through the eye slits. I think maybe you could see there his teeth and his dark skin through the open mouth. That's a nice little detail. The paint on the teeth, just on the molars, and the paint on the beard. I mean, it's a great sculpt for a beard too. It really does read like sculpted hair, and I like the separation of little elements to it, the braids that are in it, and these little flappy, foldy things coming from the top. But yeah, the paint on the mustache, the paint inside the mouth, really, really awesome. This would work fine if it was just sort of black through the eye sockets, but I like that you can kind of see the teeth in the eyes. I did see 4 of these in stores, and 2 of them had the eyes painted really well, and some had the eyes kind of looking in really drastic different directions and made them look kind of googly eyed and weird. So if you care about that sort of thing, be on the lookout. Good wash though on the face though too, especially the little wrinkle right there on the brow above the nose. I really, really like how this face turned out, and the little fur lining around the hood. You know, doing fur in sculpted form can sometimes look wonky, but I think NECA did a great job with this on the hood, on the sleeves, on the bottom of his robe. Alright, let's talk accessories. First off, the snow globe, which has a weird little feature, kind of nifty though, that when you look at it from the top, it's to scale, but there's this little line around the top there, which kind of creates a magnifying effect. I like that they included the snow globe. It's a big part of the mythos within the movie, and the marketing, like on the poster and all that. We get 2 tongues that you can attach to the like front of the face, the open mouth area. We have this sculpted tongue that's already all wonky. Then we have this bendy one that you can put into whatever kind of position you want within reason, within the bendability of the tongue itself. Then we have this bell. It's real little, but you know, pretty big part of the movie. And then we have the paper wrapped bell, which can go inside this box. And you have a little gift box for the bell. Next, we have the 5 alternate hands, which gives us 7 hands in total. The main hands that the figure comes attached with are kind of wide open fingers. These are a little more grippy, a little more claw-like. And then we have these, which have the extended index finger, but are still kind of clawed and grippy. And then very similar to this one, we have this one finger pointing one. You can see the difference that the thumb is brought a little closer and that these 3 fingers are a little closer together. They aren't so wide apart. Then lastly, we get all these bones that we can hang all over the figure. There's these little tiny ones, and there's a bunch of these little bones with hooks on them. There's a set of these longer ones, which I really, really dig. I think they're kind of more unique, whereas the other ones are a little more repetitive. Granted, his look is kind of repetitive with bones and bells hanging all over them. And then, yeah, all these little tiny bells, a whole bunch of these little bells that are bound to fall off and get lost on the ground. And if you have small children or animals, be on the lookout for these tiny little bells. Alright, I've switched out the right hand for the finger pointing hand, which is my favorite hand. I like that if you bring the shoulder up and the elbow down, it does look like he's pointing a little further away from his body and not so tight and so close to the body. I've switched the left hand to the grip hand so it can hold the snow globe, which this is my preferred hand placement, my preferred way to display the figure. Now we gotta talk about the tongue situation, because holy mother of God, great googly moogly, the design of this tongue, these tongues, it sucks. So there's a gap down behind his lower teeth. This little tongue plug is supposed to go down into that, and these little teeth grooves here are supposed to line up with the teeth inside the mouth, like the Krampus teeth. Now this, even the bendy one, it's really stiff, this plug, and there's only so far you can jam this tongue thing downward, and it doesn't fit all the way. I've spent many, many, many off-camera minutes hurting my fingers trying to get this to go downward, and it just doesn't go down. I get it partially down in there, but I can't get it past the teeth on the top. I've tried kind of jamming it straight in, hoping that the bottom section will bend inward and the whole thing will just sort of pop and plug in, but it feels like I'm going to break the tongue. It feels like I'm going to break the connector point between this thicker part, and I don't want the tongue to snap, but I know I'm not the only one out there that's had a problem with trying to put this tongue in. It sucks, and that's a bummer, because I'd really, really like to display this figure with the tongue coming out. Luckily, it still looks cool with its mouth agape, but I mean, man, this sucks. Alright, now I'm not going to show you every single thing that I hang on every single chain, but just so you get the idea of how this all kind of works. These have little hooks on them. You can drop them through the little chains. The bells are really, really little, but they can also be put onto the chains, like so. So going off the accessory and chain placement sheet, I put all the individual little bells and then all these other ones, but there's a bunch of extra ones, at least if you're going off of the sheet. I mean, and as I was following it, I realized you could just sort of hang the little bells and all these little other bells and bones wherever the hell you want. Like, they're not that noticeable. I mean, they look cool, don't get me wrong, but like, if you were going for like movie accuracy, like there's a little bell right here. Can you tell? I mean, I guess when I flick it you can, but like from here you can't. So yeah, you know, my 2 cents, put stuff wherever you want. But you know, this little thingy, it's hanging right there. And this little thingy, it's hanging right there. There's some stuff, and it's hanging, and woohoo, yay. It does look cool. Those bones off the side do look cool. Don't get me wrong, I do dig it. But yeah, it's curious that there's so many extras. If anything, I would have included more extra small bells since they're so little. But they all hook on good. I don't really feel like they're going to fall off or anything. Man, this figure looks super cool. The only problem I have with it is these stupid tongues, which I have half a mind to try to cut part of the bottom off and see if I can just jam it in without that. Hopefully it would stay. I would think it's so tight in there that it probably would stay. Anyway, this is a hell of a figure, and it is priced as such. It retails for $100, which is an awful lot for a NECA Ultimate, and an awful lot for this day and age. But I hate to say this, I hate to sound like a NECA fanboy shill, but I see it. This is not a little figure. It's not a standard 7-inch Ultimate. It is very big. It is very tall. There's a lot of mass to it. There's a lot of... It's all original parts. It's all brand new. Nothing's reused. Real quality sculpting. Impressive sculpting. Quality paint. Metal chains. Little pieces, you know, the horns. There's so much going on here. And just the sheer size of it. You know, now that Ultimate figure's like $35, like, this isn't, for its size, an outrageous ask for $100, you know? If you look at all this and think, oh, it should be like $50, like, you're out of your mind. Is $100 a little steep? Yeah. But I think if you're, you know, a big fan and you can find a decent price, don't pay over $100 for it. Good God, don't. But, man, I just look at this bad boy on the shelf. If you're a horror fan, it's awesome. If you're a fan of the movie, or you just like screwed up, twisted stuff for the holidays, like, this to me would look awesome. Awesome on display in a lovely household Christmas display. I think this would look awesome on a tabletop. It would look great on a mantle, next to the Christmas tree. You know, forget Elf on a Shelf. Put this in your kid's bedroom one night. This is just awesome. I love it. Like, I love looking at it. I'm so happy that NECA went down this rabbit hole with Universal and Krampus and all of them, because there are Krampus fans out there who dreamed of a figure like this, and it is pretty great. Thanks for watching, everybody. Let me know in the comments below what you think of this figure, and if you want to be up to date with all my latest reviews, be sure to click subscribe.